This is just Bob Bowman, and I'm coming back with another video. In this video, I am going to be talking about the topic it's hard work just to be average. You see, we live in a society where men are judged by how much money they make, how they look, the type of clothes they wear, type of materials that they have, what they can provide for somebody. And one thing that they don't let us know is that just getting to the point of being average, especially when you come from the inner city, especially when you come from the inner city, just to be an average man in this society is hard work and it's a good thing. You see, don't let these people shame you into not being acceptable to yourself. Don't let these people shame you into thinking that all that hard work that you've done to build yourself up to the position that you're in isn't good enough. Because whether they want to acknowledge it or not, it is good enough. Now, I understand that in this dating market, the so called average man is usually overlooked. And as I look at it and I understand, and I'm talking about from the community perspective, you see, you have men that earn from 40,000 to 90,000 a year, and I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not going to put my exact amount, but I'm somewhere in the middle. And you have these men that's earning this much that get overlooked, passed up, especially if they not six figures and they not 6 feet tall and they not just with the chiseled chin and they don't have a huge hanging drooping beard or whatever. And you have people that try to make it seem like these men are insignificant, these men are inferior, these men are unimportant. But then you have the women who try to bash these type of men down like they're nothing, that end up being with and sleeping with the dudes that are broke. Now, there was a woman, a famous woman, and I'm not going to mention her name on here, but in a podcast, and she's a popular black feminist. She talked about how it was hard for her to find somebody, and that she ended up sleeping with broke dudes. And she doesn't have to sleep with broke dudes if she doesn't want to. However, high value men don't want her because they see how she act and they see how she wants to place herself above them as far as mentality goes, and they don't have to deal with that, so they not going to deal with her. And then she look at the average man and be like, "Oh, these people really think that they doing something just because they earn a little something where they can maintain on their own without anybody." So she don't want to deal with them. So what does she do? She goes to the bottom of the barrel. She goes to the low hanging fruit as far as men, and she deals with them. And you know why? Because those men don't have control of that relationship. Those men have to deal with her nagging and complaining in her mouth. Now, I'm not saying that all women are like this. I'm not bashing women when I talk about this. But I'm just talking about the fact of what's going on in society. You see, it's a lot of women who are average. Some of them are beautiful. They beautiful, but they're average. And these average women are overlooking the average men on purpose. They would rather deal with the men that they can't keep, the ones that they know that's going to have multiple women, or they're going to say, "Oh, since I can't control these men, I'll just go ahead and mess with somebody that's real broke that I can control and enable with my checkbook. And I see this all the time in all status levels. We can look at Nicki Minaj, for example, and see that that happens. I've seen it with my own family members who I won't use in this video, where they end up with broke dudes with no money, but they the ones that had jobs because they want to control the relationship, because they have self-esteem issues about themselves or things that they don't want to fix about themselves that they need to. And as a man who has seen that, I have to call it out, regardless of who gets mad, who gets frustrated. And I know that as an average man, you see, I'm still working on myself to where I could be a high value man. But while I'm at the average level, which I totally admit where I'm at, I'm going to call out when these average women are being contradictory to what it is that they say, and they complaining about men, and they say all, and they try to put all of us in the same category when they know that that's not true. You see, they just don't want a man to have any type of say so. They don't want a man to have some type of control in their life. And they try to belittle and make us feel so bad about ourselves to where we would take bad deals in the neighborhood. And they'll say, girl, we can't control him. We can't do what it is that we want. So we're going to try to force him on the women that are the low hanging fruit. And we see this going on in the community all the time. You see, that's because us men, for so long, haven't been told the game and haven't been told the truth about what's going on. We had low self-esteem for so long that we was like, well, we have to deal with this. But here I am, and I'm saying, no, we don't have to deal with this. One of the solutions, and this is something that I'm doing personally, is stacking up my money, and I'm traveling whenever I get a chance to. I know I can't travel as much as I want. I can't just leave the country whenever I want. But at the same time, I know that I have a plan for the future. And if you're an average man with no children and you have a decent job and you earn a decent living, you have this option too. But they don't want you to see that. They want you to be distracted on the fact that they're not giving you the time of day to where you will just crumble and succumb to what it is that they want you to do. You see, they want to say, oh, you're not that good looking. Well, men in general are not supposed to be the best looking of the genders. You see, I'm handsome, but I know I'm not the most handsomest guy that ever walked the earth. And I'm okay with that. And the reason being is because it's not my job to be so strikingly beautiful that people would notice me. Some men have it like that, some men don't. And it doesn't matter because a man is a man. But you have women that will use judgments upon you that they don't want you to use upon them. And see, they trying to use mind games and they trying to project their insecurities onto us to make us conform to what it is that they want us to do. But we as average men are starting to wake up and see, like, hey, we don't have to deal with this. We don't have to kowtow to what it is that they want. We don't have to allow them to beat us down into submission. We don't have to be the stepdaddies that they want us to be. We don't have to be the stepping stones that they want us to be. We don't have to be the punching bags of the community. And thank God that I got in contact with my father and that me and my father has been getting closer and closer. And then I started getting to know myself a little bit better to where I know that I don't have to deal with that mess. And I know that the programming that was put on me to be a beta male wasn't for me naturally. I'm not an alpha male and I'm not a beta male. What am I? I am a sigma male who happens to be an average man with no children, which means that I have a free thinking mind to do what it is that I would like to do, regardless of what anybody has to say. And if I want to start a family overseas, so be it. That's what I'm going to do. If I want to move away from where it is that I grew up, so be it. That's what I'm going to do. If I don't want to mess with any woman from the community that's willing to mess with me, if I don't feel like they are good enough for me, so be it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not trying to compete with the men that's chosen by these so-called women in the community. I have accepted what it is that was displayed to me, and I found a solution for myself. And it's more men like me that has found solutions for themselves that's doing things their own way to where they don't have to deal with the crap that's going on in the community, in the inner cities. You see, I'm not going to act like I'm a thug or a gangster just to impress you. I'm not going to bend over backwards and kill myself trying to make money just to impress you. You see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the best that I can at my level to do best for myself because I come first. And I want to be a high value man, so I'm working on that currently, not for the appreciation or the validation of women, but for myself. And if I do get some validation, I would rather it come from some women from overseas than deal with the women here because they already show me that they don't appreciate good things that or the good men that's here. We've seen so many examples like Deion Sanders. We've seen so many examples like Will Smith to what's going on in this society, what's going on in this community. And you think that we are just going to sit there and continue to take the blame for things that we didn't do and get stomped on and always have to take the lowest portion of what it is that society has to offer? No, we've smartened up. We've gotten our passports. Yes, we are still going to be cordial to you. We are going to treat you with respect, even if you don't treat us with respect. But just because we're cordial to you and just because we treat you with respect doesn't mean that we are going to allow ourselves to be in relationships with people like you. And we're not angry at you. We have just come to a realization that we have to accept what it is that's going on in society to the best of our abilities and to adapt as average men. That's what I represent. You see, I don't have a lot of viewers on YouTube at this time, but I have a message. And I don't care who doesn't like the message that I have, but this is the message that I'm giving out. And I'm going to represent the men that are like me. Regardless if you think that I should just shut up and disappear. Well, guess what? I've been canceled before. I've been shunned before. I've been isolated before. I've been ostracized before. And guess what? I am still here. I am still here and I'm still carrying on this message no matter what. That I am going to love myself for who it is that I am. That I'm going to care about myself no matter if I have my own personal flaws that I need to work on. And I'm going to get what it is that I deserve, even if I have to work for it and go elsewhere and move around. And I know that isn't the message that you want out there because you want the men to give up and just succumb to what it is that you demand of us. But you see, for so many generations, we have been beaten down and been expected to clean up the mess that's been made by other men and also still get trampled upon while we cleaning up that mess. And we are tired of it. Us average men are tired of it. We are tired of people putting us down because we're not making six figures. We are tired of people putting us down because we're not a certain height. We are tired of being put down because we don't have a certain body type, even if we're doing the best that we can. That's what I represent. I represent a movement to do what it is that we need to do for the betterment of ourselves. When I go to the gym, I don't do it for any of you broads. I do it for me. When I earn my money, I don't do it for you broads. I do it for me. When I make decisions, personal sacrifices in my life, I don't think about you broads. I think about me. And I'm an average man. And guess what? Eventually, when I become a high value man, I'm going to keep all these things that I've learned in my mind and always keep an eye in the back of my head and always keep the knowledge of how you people really are in y'all ways of thinking. And that I'm not going to allow myself to be suckered in so I can lose everything that I've worked really hard for just to appease you. You see, it's a new movement that's going out here. And I know that a lot of you don't like what's going on. You don't like the fact that men are turning away. We're not groveling and begging at your feet like how you thought we were going to be doing. But at this point, we don't care because you've shown us that you don't care. And there's nothing wrong with us. Maybe it's some things that we need to improve in our lives. And yeah, we going to work on it and we going to keep striving. Even if we never make six figures or seven figures in our lives, we still going to keep striving to be the best versions of ourselves. But we're not doing it for you anymore. And there's nothing wrong with being average. And I have enough money to where I can treat myself every once in a while. I have enough money to where I can travel every once in a while. Not as much as I want to, but I can travel. And I can do what it is that I want. If I want to meet some beautiful women overseas, I'm going to do that. And nobody is going to stop me. And I encourage anybody, even women, to go overseas and do what it is that they want to do. But you're not going to shame me anymore. You're not going to put me down anymore. You're not going to insult me in my face anymore. What I'm going to do is just distance myself from idiots like you people who want to put down average men and try to make us to be the lowest on the totem pole when we know we're not. You see, it was a trick that they've done to us to try to beat down on the self-esteem of the average men, to make us submit to what it is that they wanted us to do. And they want to beat down on us and keep beating down on us and keep beating down on us to where we had doubts in our heads to who we were. We had low self-esteem and we would become the shields to the so-called alpha men for the women that they don't want. We would take the bullets while they get the spoils and while somebody can use us to boost up their image, even if they don't really want us. And we're tired of that. So as an average man, just Bob Bowman, an average man who is constantly working on himself, who's going to the gym, who's doing the best that he can at his job with whatever job that is, who's treating people with respect and being cordial, who's watching his spending habits, saving up his money, who's improving on his hygiene and his wardrobe, who's improving on his speaking habits, who is reducing all his negative habits and negative traits as much as he can. And you think that after all this work, after all this striving, after coming from the mud, the inner city, wasn't supposed to make it to this age, was supposed to be nothing. And you think that after all this work that it took me to be average, that I'm just going to wallow and I'm just going to give up and I'm just going to do whatever it is that you people want me to do. You're out of your minds. And I'm saying this on video to where you understand that I am being sincere and honest. I'm saying this with passion so you see that I'm being sincere and honest. And it's a lot of men out here that's like me, that have the same mentality as me, that understand that at this point in our lives that we made it to an older age with no children and we're doing decent financially, not the best, but decent, we don't have to put up with your mess. And we won't. This is just Bob Bowman. And I'm out.